Cole,
What's up?
we're back.
We're back, but not all of your hair is back.
None of my hair is back. Well, some of my hair is back. Not a lot of it.
Very little
I'd
of
say
your hair
about
has returned.
3/5 of a roster's worth of hair, Cole. It's time for Fast Peek
Oh,
last week.
nice.
Let's do it.
It's Fast Peek last week. We're here to talk about Valorant. Oh, yes.
I'm assuming you're doing air horns. I can't hear.
I wasn't actually that time.
Okay,
Usually
that's
I
fine.
would. Here, let me give you some. There we go. All right. Audio listeners on the pod won't get it. What's up,
All right,
everybody?
Cole. This is Fast Peek the last 2 weeks because we were going to do this last week and your computer exploded. But here we are. We're back.
Exploding is a strong term. It wasn't really an explosion. It was a failed power supply.
It's the opposite of explosion. It didn't explode.
There you go.
There's no power.
All right. Yeah.
Cole, like everywhere that you and I show up to do podcasts, this podcast is powered by Rip It.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The wonderful beverage. Nice top pop, by the way.
Thank you. That was a accelerated top pop. That was a Fast Peek last week pace pop top.
Nice.
There's no time to waste, Cole. Let's get into the topics for tonight.
Let's get into the topics. Go.
We
Starting
got
now.
4 bangers. The first one, does 100T now mean business? Wait. 100T's commitment level, aka 100T's commitment level. In the show notes, you wrote this as, does 100T now mean business, and used all capital letters, Cole. I think that is an appropriate title for this segment. And I'll start with you. Do we mean business?
Well, look, I think the whole point of this is, and there's no secret about it, the first thing did not work. Then obviously the players that we've started to sign, we're replacing him with higher value contracts, right? These players are not coming cheap. And after some people had questioned, for whatever reason, the motivation of 100 Thieves and whether or not they truly want to win at esports, I don't know what kind of asinine claim that is, but in any case, I think these signings are a serious indication that yes, we do mean business, in combination with how much time it's taking to fill out the rest of the roster.
Yeah, that last point is a good one. We had, in the notable week that we were out, right? We did not do a show. We have not announced anyone else.
Right.
We didn't miss an entire news cycle on this team because it ain't ready yet, and so it's not here yet. I think that one of the things we spent the most time talking about with this team specifically and our position in this sport is what brand do we have for ourselves? And I think that the brand reset here has been pretty remarkable, right? So when you ask, do we mean business? I think the best way to look at that is to just kind of take the pulse of what kind of a team are we? And right now it seems like we have more credibility in the scene without having played a single match, right? So when we last did this show, I think we were talking about the Team Liquid reveal and just how it seemed to generate for them more excitement, credibility, buzz, whatever, than we had at that moment in time. We're back, right? We're back to that level of excitement that fans have. And it's not because we have done anything flashy like a big reveal from the production side. We're just truly signing exciting players and putting a team together that people are going to want to watch.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I still don't think that necessarily works in a vacuum. Like, I still, looking back, think, hey, maybe it was kind of important to get in there early so people knew we were in the space and we're going to be active and going to take it seriously. Because if you think about it, if we were just now in the same position where we were when we started and having never fielded a team, we still might be kind of a meme for another reason. But at least this way, it does seem, just taking the pulse of the community, that we have purged the old things about 100 Thieves. So it'll just really depend on how smoothly the new roster comes together. Are we going to get Hiko making comment, I don't know about these guys in the first week or not? That'll be all it is. And we are out of time.
I hope not, Cole. Let's move on to the next topic here, which is a quote. I'll read the quote. I need to have a pretty big voice. My perspective is valid and needs to be heard. You quote IGL 2020, right? That's the I like the confidence there. That's the swagger that you need your IGL to have. The question for us is, if you have at least 3, well, I'd say we've got at least 2.
We got 2.5.
Hiko's made it clear that he doesn't view himself in that way. He doesn't want that position necessarily. But the question remains: are we going to have IGL conflicts with this squad?
Yeah. So, and of course, that quote is coming from the Valoranting podcast.
Yes.
That's where we're pulling this. You know, he actually spent a good amount of time talking about how he knows about Counter-Strike, right? And he feels like he was even when he gave that quote about like, you know, my perspective is valid and needs to be heard. He was saying like, he's like, of course, everybody's perspective is important, and you know, you have to communicate. But mine is like really good. Like, you know, that's like essentially how it was presented.
Right.
So, okay,
Right.
A, like the confidence, yes. But B, that's, you know, that's a thing. That's a thing to be conscious of. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not 100% like, okay, that's going to be smooth from the get-go if that's his attitude. Now, Hiko, I feel like is stepping back, and I don't worry about that.
Yep.
And honestly, the concept of having two IGLs, I'm not necessarily opposed to that, because like there are different things happening on different sides of the map, and a different perspective is good. You don't want too many cooks in the kitchen, but if you have like a primary and a secondary shot caller, and like they're actively doing stuff on both sides, I don't see it as a bad thing if the chemistry works.
Yeah. When we put this question together, there's a quote that popped to mind for me. And for the life of me, I can't remember if I was watching Nitro's stream or Steel stream. I've been watching these guys more often lately. But basically the quote was this: you kind of need to have multiple leaders.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason behind that, and I'm paraphrasing now, right? This is not anything I've got written down. The reason behind that is you need to not have people waiting for a command in these games. The windows are too small. The decisions happen in a fraction of a second. So whether or not you have multiple people deciding the strategy or what the team will do, the play, you need to have people who can see things and react immediately. And I think you get a little bit of that when you do have, and especially I think the way, I mean, this is not unique to Valorant, but right, if you have an A and a B site, you kind of have two distinct units, right? A and B are going to be seeing things separately that are going to need to be communicated to the whole team. But if you have everybody on the B site who is naturally a more following player, I would worry that you're going to get into out of time.
Wow, you actually hard cut that off. I was going to let you finish it.
I worry that you get into dispute on or just not having the response you need in time, waiting on the leader who's at a different bomb site. So that's what I think we'll get with this.
Nice point. Let's move on.
All right, next, Cole. I don't know if you knew this or not. Steel is kind of new to Valorant. He's got some history playing CSGO, but he's behind. He's got players in the scene right now who have more experience, not only in tournaments, just playing the game. He's not been grinding Valorant for long. So do you think that Steel catching up is going to be a problem, or is it just a matter of time?
So my take on this scales, I guess, accordingly to the timeline of Valorant. So if you would have given this to me at the very beginning of this, I wouldn't have been worried, right? Because there's not such a head start for everybody else. Now, I do think primarily Valorant and CSGO are obviously very similar and very compatible in the way that you play them. So it's not like this is a total just chasm that everybody has months on him. And it's not like he hasn't been playing. He obviously has been playing the game. So no, I don't think this is an extreme problem. However, there is, depending on when 100 Thieves actually starts up competition, potential for there to be a little bit of lag. Now, fortunately, we are bringing on a player who's got tons of experience. He's a very high level player. Like, he is going to do everything he needs to minimize this problem. So ultimately, will we see a thing here or there? Possibly. I don't think it's a material concern.
I agree with you. Something else he said on the Valoranting podcast is that he views Valorant as 80% CSGO, right? Like that's the transference rate he sees between the pros and what they're bringing from CSGO to Valorant. Something he talked about that I thought was really smart and that you do not get if you are a 17 or 18-year-old. And 17 or 18-year-olds, this is not a snipe at you guys. He's been playing games for a long time, right? He has a long history of playing games at a high level of all different varieties. So he's bringing stuff he learned from being a master's level StarCraft 2 player to the way he thinks about playing games. I think that's really smart, right? He mentioned, you think about using your abilities, right? If you're a CS player, you might be less ready to use your abilities. So personally, I think we actually, it's his long history of playing games of all different kinds at high levels that probably actually makes him potentially a more complete player at some point, right? And I agree with you that that point might not be his first tournament with us, but I think he's shown versatility and not just being a one trick on this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I like if you turn that around and say, well, like look at the totality of his skill in a lot of video games, that is a good omen. I mean, I'm evidence of that. Look how trash I am at every single game I play. It carries over. I'm trash at Warzone. I'm trash at Valorant. I'm trash at League of Legends. That's just how it works. And hey, I'm happy with that in that case. Out of time.
He's different than us. I'll say that.
All right. Final topic, Jordan.
We got 2 slots left, Cole. A roster is 5 players. Who do you want to see and why? And I'm not asking for specific players, Cole, although if you've got them, name them. But as we always do when we talk about roster hopeful ideas, tell me the type of players you want to see. Do you want to see Ninja? Do you want to see big name streamers? Do you want to see undiscovered talent? What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to my philosophy on this the last time we had an episode, but I've had a lot of time to think about it, and I have to come back and say, actually, I agree with myself. So here's the thing. I would prefer to see a couple of young, high potential ceiling players in this spot. Now, if we had a weaker team, like if the core wasn't quite this strong, I would feel like, let's get the highest quality players of whatever type we can put in there. But I feel like this core is actually strong enough to carry new players in development. You can't be stuck on, old guys forever. You have to be thinking about the future. Mm-hmm. And if we start that process now and we get a couple of hot shots in the queue, I'm totally good with that. I have faith in the skill level of our elderly, gentle players, and I think they'll be able to pull it off.
Yeah, I agree with you. Here's the thing I worry about, right? Like, I think that everybody knows that 100T Ninja is a meme at this point. But memes are based in some kind of a real desire, right? Like somebody out there, and it's probably not a small percentage of the community, would think it would be cool if we signed Ninja. I would worry about, and I'm not even making this statement based on the quality of Ninja's play. I just don't want to become a meme team in that way, right? Where it's like, 100T just went out and signed up all the biggest names they could possibly find. That, and who knows how expensive Ninja would be, my goodness. But I think that if we go the route you're talking about, if we get younger players, and again, Steele talked about this on Valorant, the kind of like the talent that originates in this scene is so crazy good right now, and nobody knows about him, right? So we're in a unique position actually here. We have not locked ourselves into 5 people. And one of the costs to being the first team, the TSM or the Sentinels in this scene, and even T1 at one point, is you commit yourself to 5 people, right? And you can make roster changes, sure. We have no salaries you have to worry about. We have no, roster disruption to worry about. We know how hard it is to change rosters. I think that, and I hope we spend some of this time that we have bought ourselves by taking a hard decision and find some of that young talent that we can add to this roster to really surprise and delight the fans of 100T Valorant. Cole, how did I do on time?
Perfect. 3 seconds left. So I'll just say, and it'll be easier on the wallet also, which is not necessarily the worst consideration. So Jordan, that takes us through the rapid fire first segment of Fast Peak last week, which leaves us to relax and take a leisurely look at the rest of the topics. What do we have for tonight, my friend?
Cole, we've called this section a number of different things. I think we've called it Neural Theft, which is a name I really like. And at some point, we'll have a graphic and we'll have Cypher himself welcome us into this segment. For now, let's wheel out the class cart, Cole. Get the VCR out. It's time for video time, everybody's favorite part of school.
The substitute teacher is on his way in. What do we have queued up?
You can hear it coming down the hall, Cole. It's a good day.
Jordan, what do we have queued up for the listeners tonight?
Tonight, Cole, as is only fitting, we're going to take a stroll down memory lane here of some of Steele's best plays. And we're going to do this with a purpose. We're going to look at how some of these skills how some of his creativity, his strategy in CS, his non-conventional play might transfer over a little bit into this new game that we'll all be watching him play here pretty soon.
Yeah, so the idea is, we're trying to get a taste of Steele as a player. Comment on some of the things that he's done, and we just have about 2 minutes of gameplay to kind of go over here. We're not going to do a play-by-play analysis of this, right? This is just a feel thing. So,
yep.
Let's fire up the tape.
Roll tape.
Including what surely will not be the last 1v2.
I think, Cole, give me a timestamp on your video.
I started it right when you did, so I'm not watching it off of YouTube. So we're at approximately 1:35, I would guess. Are we gonna see it again? This is 1v2, 1v3 even maybe at the start.
Modem's now going to have to take this peek, and if he looks and sees the bomb, he can take cover again, but Steele
wow.
out wide.
It's clean. It's clean.
His spray, Cole, is out of control. I mean, it's under control.
It was effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and the follow-up too. Gosh, man. I don't even have time to see myself get shot in that case.
He catches the fast peak. That's how he does it. Blam. He has some very impressive op play, I'll say, but like big brain plays. Check this out.
Under the ladder now. Flanks on flanks. Yes, he does know automatics here. Look for the second. Got to look for the second player. Oh, he's got them both. Find the harder one. Has it? Can he transfer down? He does.
The patience.
The patience. I'm getting an ad.
You better buy a Toyota.
It was a Ford.
Oh wow, that's close.
He's playing out of his mind right now. Now they've got the B bomb site if they want it.
Yeah, huge entries there by Steele. He's just waiting for the retake to come in. Does Zelsis have an idea? He's over towards bench. Steele set up for success. That's a third, and he is
There's one.
Destroying Swole Patrol single-handedly right now. AZK able to
Was not expecting that angle.
Oh, that's beautiful. A second frag from Steele looking for more. That is disgusting with the silenced M4. And Vanity will finish off Hooksy.
Yeah, so the dude is wacky, right? What sticks out to you the most when you watch him play?
Well, this was a highlight of aces and clutches, right? Those stick out. Those always stick out. I think it's the non-conventional play, right? It's the type of stuff that it's not just pure like out aiming people. It's not winning duels every time, right? A number of those plays, we were watching him win a duel with the other guy not even taking a single shot. So I think that is invaluable. And actually, that's the kind of thing that allows you to extend your career, right? Because if the only thing you're basing your ability to dominate the competition on is to outshoot them, pretty soon there's going to be some young kid who comes along and has faster reflexes. That's how physiology works, right? So I think, but the brain, Cole, the brain stays sharp, and this dude's got a big brain.
Yeah, like I think that's the thing is, and maybe I should have answered this first because I was going in the exact same direction. It's like there are people who just get by on mechanical skill, right? Mm-hmm. Or reflex time or whatever. And the amount to which it's more valuable to be able to just be a cerebral player can't be overstated, right? Because if all things equal, like that's a massive advantage. You see him continuously outsmarting people on the timings, on the angles, feinting one way, going another. Like, I don't know. It's the kind of stuff that like I think I can try and do in Warzone, but I'm so bad at shooting a gun or in Valorant clicking heads that I cannot cannot actually do it, right? But he can back it up with good aim. So just being able to do that. I mean, the other thing that I think we're going to be excited about is how he has continuously talked about the new ideas he has for Valorant, because so that's the extension of this, right? Is like, it's not just in like, okay, how am I going to play this 1v2, but it's also the strategy that he's going to come up with. And he spent a lot of time on Valoranting talking about I've got all these ideas. I've got different ways to play. I know that the game can be played a better way. When I watch this, I see people playing the most basic setups, stuff that just like you watch it and say, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why not try this? Why this agent has this special power? Why is it not being used in this way? Like we're not maximizing the abilities of this kit, you know? And that's the thing that like, it's kind of talked about in Valorant, right? That like the players can make a meta like really easily. And if you have somebody who's shaping that meta, much in the same way that we shaped the League of Legends meta in Rec League.
Sonateric comes to mind.
Yeah, that's right. If we have that, that's valuable because everybody else catches up to what you do, right? And if they don't keep pace, they do not win.
Yeah. And you know, okay, everybody, here's the real takeaway from this. After you watch this show, watch Valoranting with him on it. It was honestly a very insightful conversation with him.
Yeah.
He is a well-spoken person with a lot to say. And you get the sense he backs it up. But he talked about Killjoy, right? And how she's not meta because they nerfed her Molly. He's like, you nerf her, you know, like that's such a small fraction of her kit.
Right.
And to not use that agent because she's got a tick nerf to her Molly, it's like, what are you doing? And I think that can change an entire strategy, right? So that kind of a player thinking about things in that way can actually mean that you show up to a tournament playing a bunch of stuff that people aren't prepared for. And that is exciting. And as a fan, honestly, that's kind of the most exciting thing because yeah, a flashy highlight reel is cool. And I like it, right? I like clicking heads as much as anybody, but the kind of stuff that you see him doing, that's exciting. And it's the novelty, right, that you can bring to a game like this. That's why Valorant is exciting, right? Because it's not just CSGO. It's not just a reskin of a game that's already made. There's a lot more to it. And I think that, and what he seems to think as well, people are utilizing a lot of what makes Valorant a unique game. So that's the kind of talent that I think the scene is really hungry for. And it just naturally evolves that way over time, right? Where people are going to get better at doing the type of stuff the game allows them to do. And so personally, I'm super excited to see him in action. Yeah,
like I mean, contrast this with how we felt about the League of Legends team for 100 Thieves, where it's like, hey, you know what? We're in a position where we can reasonably be like, you know, we're going to influence the way that this game is played. And on top of that, on top of doing the new stuff, we have the expertise in the old realm, right? The CSGO realm.
Right.
To pull from also. So we can do it standard way and we can do it in a new way. And it's going to be your challenge to keep up with that. And like, think of the way that feels compared to League of Legends, or think of the way that feels compared to the old Valorant roster where it felt like, I'm not sure we can get anything done here. You know what I mean? Like that fills us with that ever good hope that we always try and have as your fathers.
One of the best feelings you can have as a fan. Yeah. I think that's a good way to summarize it, right? It seems that with the roster we have so far, 3/5, we have a very strong grasp of the fundamentals, right? Standard meta is well within reach. And that's one of the things we always ran into in League is we just couldn't play standard as well as other people. And when we found success, it's when we mixed it up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we couldn't mix it up well enough and continue to evolve our style. So eventually it became easy to prepare for us. So those are lessons that hopefully we can see applied differently with the caliber of talent we're bringing to this roster.
Yeah. And hopefully we end up being like an LPL team, right? Where it's like, you know, try and keep up if you can. So that is the optimistic take here. But honestly, like for once in my life, I'm going to roll with that. Because I just feel like we have such crazy potential with the core that we have, you know? So I think, Jordan, it's about time to load it up. Put the little thing in the little gun, in the little small pistol gun.
I'll do it. I'll say it. Molly.
Oh, it didn't even work. No way. Hold on. We got to do this. There we go. Nice. All right. Wow. Okay. We almost got through this with flawless production. Until
get there
then.
Next time. Cool. Before we have 5/5 of a roster, we'll get there. Cool. tonight's Molly comes from great friend, excellent person, and recent lake enthusiast. If you've been checking out the pictures he's posted to our Discord, Jaret. I don't know. I think that did he just use the name Jaret to upload this? Probably. He goes with a lot of different names. Mr. Jaret. Jaret says, Cole, Overwatch players will end up being the best in the world and will prove all the initial analysts wrong, including, it would seem, Steel himself.
Yeah. And which is interesting because Steel spent some time playing Overwatch, right? So, yeah, how are we feeling about this take from Jaret? It is, I'm going to say the cop-out thing that is so annoying to hear, I guess, and such a vanilla take on this. But it's honestly what I believe in that. Like,
you're not talking about Jaret, you're talking about what you're about to say, right?
What I'm about to say, yeah.
Okay.
This is the road I'm taking with
yes,
this take.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, it is really hard to convince me that CSGO players don't have the jump here. I mean, if you play Valorant and you've played CSGO, you can just feel it. You can just feel the way the movement is, the way the combat is. It's CSGO. So it is so hard to convince me that it's going to be Overwatch. The only thing I'll give you, Jaret, I'm sorry, because I love you to death. The youth out of Overwatch is a great thing, right? Overwatch is full of young players who had like just crazy ability, right? That is something to be hopeful of. Whereas CSGO has a very older crowd, right? CSGO is full of like the 30-plus-year-olds. And they have game experience and have game knowledge, but they don't have the clicky-clickies like the young guys do. So that's the one place where I could be convinced that there's an edge to Overwatch. But if we are to believe Steel's premise that it's 80% CSGO, it's hard for me to go in another direction.
Yeah. There are a couple things that will be interesting to watch in regards to this take and the evolution of the talent in the scene just in general. I think one of them is there's an idea I have. I've played very casually, Cole, some Overwatch in my day. And the game is pretty crazy. There's a lot happening on that screen. I've never even tried to be a spectator of that game because I just don't think you can be, really. So to play it at a professional level must be a different, it must require a different kind of person. What I'm getting at is I wonder if it's like switching from Overwatch to Valorant. I wonder if it's like doing the Piccolo's weighted clothing, you know, where you remove like 90%.
The one anime reference that I'm going to get.
I know. Look, I know my audience here, Cole. I know what you're going to laugh at and what you're going to resign from the show from. So I wonder if more Overwatch players, pros, start walking away from Overwatch, I do wonder if we see the influx of people who are just like, it's so easy to shoot people in this game. It's pretty crazy. There's nothing else, you know, like there are no ults on my screen right now. I can see everything very clearly. So that's one thing I wonder about. And I think that could be, you know, obviously the gunplay is completely different. But like you said, the young talent mixed with just kind of the ease of honestly seeing what you're doing could be a benefit. And the other thing is there are a lot of young players. And the game Overwatch, I mean, it might be that we see more players coming. I think that you need to have a critical